It's hard to do something that you've never done before. One of the best ways to be able to do something that you've never done before is to find somebody that's done it.
With what we've created at the Greatness Lab, those people can learn how to do it, but they can also partner with all of the infrastructure that you've already built.
Today, we have over 730 financial advisors, 27 locations, 18 states. We'll do well over 100 million in revenue this year. And we're just getting started, which is even, I think, the crazier part about it is now that the system has been built, the scalability for us to be able to help others do it is at an all-time high level.
Okay, guys, I'm Coach Michael Burt. I hope you're off to a great start today. This is another edition of the Greatness Lab. I'm here with Jason Mickool. And Jason, good to see you today, sir.
You too, buddy. You looking sharp as usual?
Thank you. I'm here in my office in Nashville at the Greatness Factory, and just something about this place when I show up in the morning. I call it a place of positive expectancy,
Yeah, it's a
right?
magical place, and kudos to you, my friend. It's really just a neat spot.
Well, I know you're going to be here the 26th and 27th of this month,
Yes.
and we're talking to people literally all over the country. I was actually talking to Stacy Murphy this morning, and she said she's bringing in like 12 people from her team are going to be coming to Nashville. And we're going to be spending 2 days really on what we're going to talk about today, which is your specialty, which is the recruiting, training, and development. Many years ago, I wrote a book, which is my first major published book called Zebras and Cheetahs. And I thought it was a great book title, but people didn't understand that the zebra looked different and the cheetah ran faster. And I would get questions like, does the cheetah eat the zebra? Is it a chebra? Is it a cross between a zebra and a cheetah? Is it a kid's book? I mean, this is what happens when you get cute. I should have just called the book "Look Different, Run Faster, and Be Agile," right? And that's what I learned from writing that book. But when I think about what you've built and what we're building with the Greatness Lab, that is really this recruiting, training, developing agile company, right? And most people, everybody wants to scale, but most people, for some reason, either don't believe it's possible for them or they don't know how to do it. So they literally, and I'm sure you see this all the time, like I do, they literally stay small forever.
Yeah.
And it's a frustrating, vicious cycle. And they say things that you and I've talked about. Well, I don't know how to recruit, or I don't know how to train, or I don't know how to develop, or I don't know how to do it. With what we've created at the Greatness Lab, those people can learn how to do it, but they can also partner with all of the infrastructure that you've already built. So let's talk about that for a second, because I was telling somebody this morning on the way into the office, man, I'm getting calls from all over the place with
Right.
all types of financial services companies going,
Yeah.
what are you doing? And how do we associate with it? And how do we be involved with it? And it's getting really, really interesting at a very rapid level too, by the way, which was our strategy, right? Be front facing, tell people what we're doing, and you're going to be going through this recruiting and development system on the 26th and 27th at the Greatness Factory here in Nashville. But talk a little bit about that, the limited thinking as it relates to recruiting, training, and developing. And then we'll move into rapid growth. How can people experience rapid growth and get really to a place much faster by strategically partnering with someone like us?
Yeah, I just you've said this, I've said this, it's hard. It's difficult to take a quantum leap when your eyes are closed and you're not looking for the opportunity to take a quantum leap. It's hard to do something that you've never done before.
Yes.
And one of the best ways to be able to do something that you've never done before is to find somebody that's done it. And most of the time, when you do find somebody that's done it, they're really not going to tell you how to do it because
Right.
you become their competitors. My
Right.
head boss that once said to me, "Is the weak protect?" Right? And I've always positioned myself in a position of strength, and not for anything. And I respect everybody's hard work out there. I know financial advisors have been in the game for 25 years, right? And that are the top in their game, the top guy at Ameriprise or the number two guy at Ameriprise. I think he probably does 20 million. He's been at it since he's been 22 years old, right? He's going, he's grinding every single day, gets over 100 new clients a year, has a big staff and a big team. He does 25 million. 9 years ago, we started the company. So from scratch, my wife and I sitting at a kitchen table, and we implemented an ecosystem, is what I call it, instead of an operating system. And I'll explain to you why here in a moment, Coach. Today, we have over 730 financial advisors, 27 locations, 18 states. We'll do well over 100 million in revenue this year. And we're just getting started, which is even, I think, the crazier part about it is now that the system has been built, the scalability for us to be able to help others do it is at an all-time high level. So just imagine for a moment here, and what the Greatness Lab would give you the ability to do is to actually go into the ecosystem to take any system and process that you want, get all of the coaching for you able to scale it at a faster level. How powerful would that be? Just imagine Jeff Bezos said, and when he's starting out the company, he said, you know what, I'm doing 200 million or I'm doing 100 million in sales, and I will allow you to come in, meet with my staff, take all of the systems, all of the processes, come visit the organization, bring your team to our organization, and to be able to scale the business. How invaluable would that be, and how much would that accelerate your growth? What could you learn, and what could you take away? The challenge that we have today is everybody, particularly the more successful that you get, is everybody defines success as different, right?
Yes.
So if you're at 5 million, you think you're successful, and you had a really elegant way of saying it. What was it, Coach?
Yeah, it's called the accidental arrogance of success.
So what does that mean to you? And what does the accidental
It it
arrogance of
it,
success
it
mean?
mean it means you compare down, right? So you look at other people and you go, well, I'm doing 5 million and everybody else is doing, 300,000 or a million. And so I must be much better. So therefore, there's nothing for me to learn. There's nowhere for me to go. Now, I always like to use this example because you triggered it in me. If we put Michael Jordan in a room and he's worth $2 billion, but if we put him in a room with Jeff Bezos, who's worth $200 billion, see the difference? See what I'm saying there? Jordan at 2 billion could learn something from Bezos, who's worth 200 billion.
100%.
Okay, so a lot of people think that I've made it because I'm making $1 million a year, and that's a very small number of people. Or, like you said, I've got a revenue company doing 5 million. But what we're talking about is getting to significantly higher levels, and by participating with other people, the potential for those people would be far greater than it would be if they stayed right at the 5 million revenue, making $1 million a year.
Right.
Can you explain that? Because a lot of questions I'm getting are, okay, I have an agency and I've got, $500,000 of profit or whatever, EBITDA. And how can I participate in the Greatness Lab, and why would that be beneficial to me? So just break that down both from a tactical standpoint of why it's beneficial, because I'm telling people the resources, the structure, the infrastructure, the speed at which you can go. That's one side of it, but there's also the learning of, you don't know how to do this. If you did, you would have already done it, right? So there's really
Right.
multiple sides of why somebody
Yeah.
can join us.
And I say that just, to people all the time. It's saying, look, you can come in, you can do a membership at the Greatness Lab.
Yep.
You get to meet with Coach and I, you
Yep.
get to come to special events, but that's really not even the value. Depending on what you really want, we could stand up every one of these systems.
Yep.
Meaning, if you wanted a recruiting system, you can meet with my team. My team will give you the job posting. They'll show you, they'll actually, go into, set up your Indeed profile, your Handshake profile, your Simplicity profile, your LinkedIn recruiter profile, right? We'll give you the playbook in terms of doing, what is the way to hire in more volume. So therefore, what happens is the more volume that you have, the more selective you can be in your selection process, right? You can be with our interview team, our onboarding team. You literally could go from 0 to 60 hires a year and take no financial risk, right? I mean, just now, most people will never figure that out,
Yep.
right? It took us years and years to figure it out. You can literally plug into that system, which I think is invaluable. The second thing that I think is really important is that, we're going to roll up companies, right? So I give you an example. A gentleman that I know, They had they had 80 million in assets under management. They have a company doing 2 million in revenue. And he basically said, I want a strategy so I can go to 100 million. And I said,
Yes.
okay, great. So we worked out a deal. I bought into their company. I took a minority stake. I put it into the system and basically we rolled it up.
Yep.
So I have a stake in that business and I'm going to basically plug in my model into that system because I'm an equity partner in the
Yep.
exit. Now, I'm not taking anything from what he currently did today, right? So in this instance, I'm basically giving them their investment back into their investment, which will be 20% of that company. And ultimately, I am incented to grow, and we're just going to tuck people into it. So we have people, you and I, coach, people coming to us all the time and saying, I want to take some chips off the table,
Yep.
right? So what we'll do is we'll buy a majority stake. We'll take over the infrastructure, whether it's compliance or payroll or recruiting or training or developing of people, right? And then we can accelerate their growth while we
Yep.
participate in the growth and in the exit of that company. So
Now,
these are really huge opportunities for us.
so explain the roll up because a
Yeah.
lot of people hear people talk about that, and I'd like to hear it from your mouth on how you would explain the roll up and how those people can come into the greatness lab. Well, what is a roll up? So just so everybody understands.
Yeah. So a roll up, if you have a small, I consider it a small practice. Let's say you're making 5 million a year. I don't, maybe you're making 1 million a year. Maybe you're making $300,000 a year. When you have a lifestyle practice and not a platform, right? Now, lifestyle practices is when you're meeting with clients every day. You're the plumber, you're the electrician, you're the guy doing the payroll and the compliance and all of the type of stuff. You get a certain valuation, and it's pretty good depending on the business that you get.
Mhm.
Um, let's assume you get a 5 times, EBITDA, or maybe a 7, or maybe an 8. Well, if you're a platform, right, and the bigger you get, and the bigger the infrastructure is, and the more scalable that business is, those multiples go up significantly. They can go 15. I've seen, some of these multiples go as high as 25 times EBITDA. So
Yep.
there's an arbitrage that gets happening by joining something bigger than what you're doing today,
That's
right?
right.
And I think most people don't understand that, and they'll never get there. I meet
Yep.
with people all the time that make $5 million a year, and their business isn't worth anything because without them or
Yep.
without putting in a successor into that system, it's stuck because they are the business. And what you want to be thinking about your business is you're not the business, you're the platform for other people to do business. And there's
Yep.
two ways you can do that. You can either create it, right? Or you can join it.
Yes.
And if you create it, you may never get the opportunity to get big enough because you may operationally, unless you receive massive amount of coaching and open input, will be able to achieve those levels of success. It's very difficult for you to do something that you've never done before.
Right.
The only way to really have an understanding of how to do that is to be able to do it with somebody who's done it before.
Yeah, and the brain actually thinks like this. If I've never done it before, therefore I must not be able to do it.
Right.
Okay, so getting to the table and partner with someone who does know how to do it strategically. So if I'm out there and I want you to go through all the different types of companies that could partner with the Greatness Lab. And is it feasible to believe that a targeted exit could be 500 million to even $1 billion for a Greatness Lab? Is that what am I talking crazy here, or is this a
No.
realistic thing? Because I've been telling people, I'm like, look, man, what if you could roll into this and partner with us, and we're targeting a 500 million to $1 billion exit, what would that mean for you in comparison to what you could currently get on your own? And so I want you to unpack that on how that's a feasible thing to do.
Yeah. So, what I see, having been purchased by private equity and being given the opportunity to be part of their deal flow, is I get to see multiples and valuations,
Yeah.
right? And while those have come down over the last few years because the interest rates have gone up, the other thing will happen when interest rates go down, values will go up. So right now, a $20 million EBITDA shop, right? Or 25 million will command close to $1 billion on a platform. So I want to repeat that.
Yep.
So if collectively we roll up $20 million of EBITDA,
Yep.
we will turn around and sell that $20 million of EBITDA for $1 billion. Conversely to that, let's assume you're doing $20 million in EBITDA, and it's a practice, right? So you got staff and you've got infrastructure and you've got 10 people, right? You're lucky to get 10 times EBITDA.
Yeah.
So the fact that if you're a bigger organization, right, and you're part of a larger platform will get you almost twice the size of the evaluation that you would get otherwise.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you before, particularly in the financial services space, in the advisory space, advisory business, because of the recurring revenue aspect of it, and without the rules and regulations associated with what's going on in the health space,
Yeah.
these organizations are going from 24 to 25 times EBITDA, right? And that's where the big numbers, the big ass exits are coming from. And private equity is lining up to do it. There is plenty of capital on the street
Right.
for these types of opportunities from folks that are good operators. And what
Yeah.
the greatest lab is candidly, we're just really good operators. I tell people all the time, not a great CEO, but when it comes to the operation of the business,
Yeah.
my team and we do an unbelievable job with the amount of infrastructure that we have. The limiting beliefs that people have is really what I think that we will tear down those walls by
Yeah.
being exposed to people who've done it, whether or not you enjoy the roll up or you participate in the coaching or the events that we have, is going to give you a seat at the bigger table and to give you more knowledge. Now, a lot of people think, well, I don't want to go from 5 million to 25 million because they think it's a lot more work. They
Right.
think that I'm going to have to meet with more clients. I'm going to have to do more nights and seminars, and I'm going to have to do these types of things. And it's actually the opposite. So when you start to learn how to build a leadership bench and infrastructure, you have appropriate spans of control, you have the appropriate systems and processes to do it. The work is actually different. It's less.
Yeah.
So, today I'm in my home on Clearwater Beach.
Yeah.
I'll put in a good 4 hour day today. And I'm gonna go out for dinner with my wife and walk my dogs. Like that's a good day for me.
Yeah.
And that's only because of the team that I've been able to build by developing leaders in the interim period.
So in essence, to draw a parallel, it would be like taking my coaching company and putting it with a 100 to $300 million company that had more people, more infrastructure, more systems, more processes, more know-how. And so for all the people who are out there who are thinking, okay, I want to grow and scale, but man, I don't know how to do it. I've been stuck in this vicious cycle for 10
Yeah.
years. This is a way, if you're skilled at what you do, this is a way to get involved. And what Jason is saying, there's two ways to get involved. You could just be a member and pay a membership fee, right? And get access to events and coaching, but there's much deeper levels to be involved where you really get the full horsepower of what Jason has built here. Now, let's go
Here's
back to go ahead.
So I just want to
Yeah,
say a
go
couple
ahead.
things. You asked me a question of who's a good person for this,
Yes.
right? And I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. Um, Number one, right? If you're a financial advisor and you own your own RIA, and you're a smaller business, and what I mean by that is you're doing, 2 to 5 million in EBITDA or less, right? So if you're less than 2 or 5, and you're doing the compliance, right? You're doing the payroll, you're
Mhm.
meeting with clients, you're doing the marketing, right? What you can do with somebody like us is you can have all of the autonomy and flexibility, and we'll take over your compliance. We'll take over your payroll. We'll take over your marketing. Now, if you want to scale, then we'll also take over your recruiting,
Mhm.
right? Your training, your development of leaders. We'll teach you what it looks like to be able to scale your business so you actually work less and make more money. Okay. Now, the important thing here we'll also do is to teach you the value of adding the share of wallet to your practice.
Yes.
I think this is where the limiting factor comes in, right? So if you're in the financial advisory space, you typically, you don't sell a lot of life insurance, right? You don't do Medicare insurance. You don't do property and casualty insurance. So all of your clients every single day are buying products and services, and you're not maximizing the revenue per client. And what we're going to do is we're going to add those solutions into your business, not by adding people, but by giving you infrastructure where people do it for you.
Yeah.
Conversely to that, you're an insurance agent. We run into this a lot in the Medicare space. And
Yes.
one of the natural things they could do is to add retirement planning, annuities, property and casualty, managed money into that practice,
Yes.
but they don't want to lose the focus on their Medicare business. So
Right.
what you can do with us is you can white label all those products, meaning that we become your infrastructure for the distribution of different products, whether it's property and casualty, annuities, broker dealer products, RIA products, without having to add infrastructure or cost. What you do is you maximize the revenue per household that you actually have a relationship with, which is the hardest part of the business.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then you can participate in the roll up on the exit if in fact that you want to in a certain way.
Right.
And what we would do is we would either make a capital investment into your pocket to give us a
Yes.
portion of your business, or we can say, great, from this point forward, all the business that we help you grow, we would like a percentage of that moving forward. It can be property and casualty. You have a property and casualty business, you want to sell it. Or you're saying, geez, you know what? I'd like to be able to sell Medicare. I'd like to be able to sell annuities, manage money, other products. I want to maximize the revenue per household. So anybody that's really in financial services or anybody that's in the insurance business in whatever way they can think of it, I want them to think about how do I maximize my revenue per relationship in that household? And when you do that, and then you incorporate a recruiting, training, and developing system to it, the world is your oyster.
Well, let's talk about that recruiting, training, and development system because this is really part of a bigger operating system that you've developed. And how did you crack the code on recruiting? So I want to go back to when you were sitting at the kitchen table, you started the company, and in 9 years had a big exit. But somewhere along the way, you go, man, we got to be great at recruiting. And you started recruiting people, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, you go, okay, we need a training and development system. And so we don't dabble with it because I coach so many companies, and it shocks me how screwed up even billion-dollar companies are.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I'm like, they don't have any of these things. They don't have a recruiting system. They don't have a training and development system. They don't have any of these things.
No.
So go back to some of those things and kind of break it down into the recruiting system that you've developed, because I think there's a big roadblock for a lot of people. I own an agency. I know I need salespeople. I have no idea how to do it. I've tried 7 times. We suck at it. How do we do it, right? Like that to me, I hear that over and over and over. So tackle them in buckets.
Yeah, so there's a lot to that, right? One of the big things number one, I learned many, many years ago from mentors that I had, recruiting was the lifeblood of all of the organization, right? And the challenge with recruiting is it's not hard, it just takes a lot of time. And then when you recruit people, what ends up happening is then you're going to train them and then you're going to develop them.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people say is, well, let me go try to hire better people. What I've experienced in life, there is no such thing as a better person. There's only great leadership to turn average people into extraordinary people, right? And that's just a mindset shift. I met with a person, they run a Medicare agency the other day, and he's like, I'm trying to recruit. I'm interviewing 7 people a week, but it takes so much time. It's taking from my production. And I recognize that. So what we've done is we built a system that removes discretion from the operating level that basically does it in mass. So we post a job, somebody applies for the job. We do a career preview, which allows us to visit 15, 20, and as a company today, we have over 500 people per week that are in one Zoom session or another, run by VPs in groups over a Zoom meeting. And we are really full and fair disclosure in terms of who we are, what we expect. And then what that does is it takes 70% it takes 30% of the people that go to those and say, you know what, I'm not going to go to a first interview. So this is just all about process, right? So what I'm trying to do is I want a certain type of person that is attracted to our value proposition and wants to be part of that system. So if I have 100 people, only 70 are going to continue, right? The 70 that continue, again, on a Zoom, go to a first interview. So once again, it's a filtering process. I don't want my most valuable people spending a lot of time doing recruiting. I want to be able to have them in front of the right people in order to maximize the efficiency of the time, in order to be able to hire the right person who's a good fit for us and we're a good fit for them, and we'll spend a lot of time with them. So basically they go through that from there, half of those people that go through that first interview, either we don't take or they
Yeah.
self-select out, right?
Yeah.
So now I've got 30 people. So instead of having to interview 100 people with my best people are now out of 100 people are only interviewing 30 people.
Yeah.
And 30% of those people say yes to the job,
Okay.
right? So of that 30, 9 people said yes to the job. That's a
Okay.
machine. So if you think about the amount of coordination and the amount of quarterbacking and who's doing what by when, right? So if we have 100 people show, our targeted ratio is 15% of those people accept the position,
Okay.
right? But if I had to meet 100 people,
Yeah.
right, at in a 1 hour implemented process,
Yeah.
what ends up happening, that's 100 hours. Instead, what that is maybe 15 hours.
Okay.
So therefore, it allows us to do it at scale. The other thing it does is that every single person, we teach them how to do a career preview. We teach them how to do a first interview. We have training every single week because as you mentioned, champions train daily,
Yeah.
which I know if the numbers are off in any way, shape, or form, it's because somebody is changed the system. Somebody decided to put two pickles on that hamburger. Somebody decided to
Yeah.
elaborate on the compensation that it wasn't true or set an expectation that wasn't true. We can always find it, right? And then we remove bottlenecks by my team. We have directors who literally sit on career previews, sit on first interviews with people who are having problems to give feedback, and we always find the problem with doing that. So we have a process to be able to do it at scale. Once they've accepted the job, then they got to be onboarded. So they got to get licenses. So people they go in, we fill out their paperwork together, more disclosure. We meet with
Yeah.
them twice a week to be able to, we log into their testing to see how far they've progressed. And if they're not doing what they're doing, we provide them direct input. We kick them out if they're not doing what they're doing. So
Yeah.
it's really an ecosystem from A to Z to get people to come on board.
So if I had an agency or a financial services firm, I mean, what is one, when you think about incremental growth, which is what a lot
Yes.
of people experience, okay? And now here's the example that makes it simple for people to understand. When I was a basketball coach, I'd work 80 hours a week and I'd win 25 games. And then I'd go back and work, and then I'd come back the next year and win 26 games. Then the next year I win 27 games, right? Then I'd win 28 games. And only when I got to a point of frustration did I sit down with people that had won multiple championships. And they would just make one statement to me: your schedule's not tough enough.
Right.
Go back and play better people. Okay. Then I would jump from 28 wins to 38 wins the next season and win a championship. Okay, because they gave me new knowledge. So I didn't experience incremental growth. I then experienced quantum leap growth. So I think about this. If I went and hired one salesperson, I mean, at the end of the day, that's incremental. And how much more can one person bring? Now, in your system, it's like I need to go get them into this recruiting. I mean, look at the scale at which Jason is doing this to where it's like hundreds of people coming in at a time because you got to go that much volume to be able to
Yes.
get down to those people who actually can do it. And so I think that's a huge benefit to the Greatness Lab is because it's like I'm not going to hire one person. I mean, what's one person going to do? Make a few more calls. Maybe we make a couple $100,000 more dollars if they're great. 1 million by the time we pay out commissions. Like how much? What is that going to do really? That's incremental. It's incremental thinking. So once a person gets on the bus, the training and development, the onboarding, but the training and development kicks in. Okay, and explain some of the training and development that people get.
So I just want to say, because you had said something and I lost it. So shit. So I'm gonna get into the training and development, right? Oh, I know what it was. We call it the work week advantage.
Okay.
I'm gonna repeat this. This is really, really important.
Okay.
I learned this a long time ago, called the work week advantage. If I want to grow by 60% next year, or I want to grow by 100% next year, right? I need to make sure that I have enough bodies and people that are going to work 100% more than I did the previous year.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? So if I have 100 people that are, or I have one person selling, right? Or let's just do 10. I have 10 people selling, and I want to grow my production um, by 100%. The following year, I need
Yeah.
to grow my field force by 100%. So if I go
Yes.
from 10 to 20, I will double my production.
Yep.
If I go from 20 to 40, I will double my production. If I go from 40 to 80, I will double my production. If I go from 80 to 160, I will double my production.
Yep.
That's the math formula. We call that the work week advantage.
Okay.
And this is
Okay.
key. Now, the challenge with getting a work week advantage and growing at scale is span of control.
Yep.
Span of control is that somebody can only lead four people.
Okay.
If you're a master, you can lead seven people. I have four reports, coach,
Yep.
which means I have dedicated work that I have to do 4 hours a week. Everyone on my management team has four,
Yep.
right? And every time we get bigger than four, what we do is we create a new role.
Okay.
And we pay that person conversely to that role by while protecting the economics of the business. And this is fundamental to the, what people don't realize is they say, well, people can't do it as good as me. Well, they're not supposed to be able to do it as good as you. They're supposed to do it at least half as good. And if
Sure.
you want it to be as good as you have to train them how to do it. So now that gets into training. So there's a bunch of things that we do. You say this, we say this. The SEALs train daily. The
Yep.
military trains every single day, even when they're not at war, right?
Yep.
What you can't do in a classroom, you can't do in on the court.
Yep.
Right. If you can't watch film and know what plays you're supposed to be doing, because you don't have the muscle memory associated with it. And one of the biggest mistakes people make, you called it the arrogance of success. I call it stupid mountain. Basically, is they can't transfer the skill, and
Yep.
they're the superhero. You don't want to hire superheroes. You want to hire people, and then you want to train them the program the way you want to train them. So what it looks like for us is every day. In our whole organization, everybody comes at 7:30 in the morning and they have a huddle.
Okay.
Five people in a huddle. What they do is they go over four things. They go over the calendar, right?
Okay.
Meaning there's no white space in the calendar. We teach them time management.
Yep.
So if everybody's good at time management, but you have nothing in the calendar, that's what you do. So you schedule your priorities, and including in that is training and development of yourself, role play, practice, scripts, reading, whatever that may be. The second thing
Okay.
is an organized email box. We find young people, particularly if you have thousands of emails in your email box, you will not follow up like a champion. That's just the way it is, right?
Yep.
So you know that $1 million follow up, you have to be exceptionally organized. Then we go over
Yep.
coverage, which is how many meetings you have and who's going on those with you, right? So what does that look like? And then we go through their CRM. What are your opportunities that you have coming up for the day?
Okay. Nice.
Then they go from that into class. So
Okay.
depending on where your bottleneck is, you're forced into a classroom that's on Zoom that is product knowledge and role play. So in the beginning, you're learning how to make a phone call. Then you're
Yep.
learning how to run an initial meeting. Then you're learning how to run a second meeting. Then you're learning how to do an implementation and sell product. And then you learn how to serve that client, key activities. Then from there, we have phone clinics. We have 3 phone clinics a week. Basically, everybody gets on the phones, dials phone together. Uh,
Okay.
right. So Wednesday, we have a master class, which is all about personal development. So you've been on that class, you speak at it once a month.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think, teaching a mindset for people, our mission is to take people to the highest possible level in their career and life, and we mean it. It's not just words on the wall.
Right.
Development is there is no end to better.
Yes.
Feedback is a gift. So when you come into our organization and we teach that culture top down, this feedback is a gift, and there is no end to better. And
Yep.
there should be no arrogance of success, right? Because
Right.
you're still trying to grow and develop. So am I.
Yep.
Everybody is. And then there's other cadences, management meetings, strategic team meeting, which is once a month, where everybody reports what they did, what their goals were, what they didn't, and gets feedback on there. So they're working on their own business. And it's
Yep.
an ecosystem.
Yes.
But a lot of people said, give me the playbook. I can give you a binder. That's
Yep.
not going to get you to where you're going to be. You need to come and experience it. And anybody who's ever came and experienced it will immediately know it's something special and will
Yep.
immediately be able to plug into it and then scale their business at a different level.
Well, I think at some point, every person, if you are stuck in production, Covey used to talk about production and production capacity.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck in production long enough, you're going to get frustrated enough where you're going to go looking for someone to help you, right? Now, you can pay for the playbook, okay? And I remember when Cardone told me one day in his office, he said, "You're going to be in this business long enough to know that less than 5% of people will ever go do what you tell them to go do."
That's right.
Okay. He said that doesn't mean they won't pay to learn it. But
Right.
but they
True.
won't go do it. What I'm really thinking, and the more you and I are in this greatness lab, I can't find a reason why a person that's out there that wants to grow but has been stuck in the same place for years, they've got some prey drive. A
Yeah.
lot like the young man you talked to this week with Justin Stark. He's got a prey drive. He wants to be successful. He wakes up in the morning thinking, but he doesn't know everything to go do, right? I can't think of a reason why a person wouldn't go, man, this is my ticket. Like this is where I need to. I really can't, other than accidental arrogance of success.
Yeah.
Uh,
Stupid mountain.
yeah, which just personal ego,
Yeah.
because they're not going to make any less money
No.
coming to the greatness lab. They're actually going to be able to make a lot more money and most likely have a much bigger exit.
Yes, sir.
So it's like, why? Like when I'm talking to people, I'm like, why wouldn't you take a meeting and just let someone challenge your premise? When I was working on my doctorate, because I went to college for 9 years, I turned it in 7 times, and they would push it back, and they would say, "Mr. Burt, we don't accept your premise." And I just got so sick of hearing that, because you had to go out and kind of validate why you thought like you did, but you had to use other people's thoughts, and that stuck with me, because I think what you do when you're talking to people who are playing small, you're basically saying, I don't accept your premise. Like you don't have to stay small. Like you're using all of these things. I don't know how to grow. I don't know how to recruit. I don't know how to develop. I don't have time. I'm busy selling insurance or financial services. When in essence, if they would just think quantum leaps, and quantum leaps happen through strategic partnerships, right? When I was studying with Price Pritchett, and he did mergers and acquisitions, it's like at the end of the day, I go, a merger and acquisition is a strategic partnership.
All it is.
Like at the end of the day, it's a way to get somewhere faster
Correct.
if you will just be open to it. So a person could be, if you're interested in roll-ups, we can help you with that for sure.
Yep.
If you're interested in recruiting, training, development, hiring, we can help you with that. Okay. Is there any other ways that I'm missing? If you got a book of business, then and you're like, I would like to cross sell, or you call it get more share of wallet, but I don't have the resources to go get more share of wallet. What could the Greatness Lab do for those people?
Yeah, this is this is one of those, I'm going, geez, if I had that opportunity, would I take advantage of that as a smaller business, right? Absolutely, I would. We will white label your distribution for you. So let's assume for a moment you're in the insurance space, right? You can try to figure this out. You can recruit, train, develop, learn a new product. You may not know if your scripts work. You may not know if you're saying the right things. Or what you can do is you can just bolt on our organization, right? And I have 700 people that are qualified in animals at doing this stuff, right? So what we can do is let them split the revenue. We'll split the override if you're an agency owner. And then what you can do is take one of your key people and have them learn our system as you print revenue. And over time, you just get a bigger share of that wallet, right? Because you got to make a massive investment in order to make it happen.
Yeah.
So instead of making a massive investment and maybe failing forward in something you don't know how to do, let us strap on to your organization. Let us be that specialist for you. Let's private label that organization and then show you how to recruit into that system while at the same time training your people. That is just an amazing opportunity. The last thing is, look, we built the IMO to be interdependent people thinking alike that want to grow. That's all it was really all about. And we are an IMO, right? So you may just want to hire a contract if you're doing a good amount of business, or you just want access to product or case help. We're there for those types of people. But that's just everybody does that.
Yeah.
All of our competitors do the same thing. What you're not going to get is the scalability, the profitability, and the ability for you to have an exit with anybody else other than us. We're here to stay and we're here to play.
Yeah. Well, that's the agility part. If you're looking different and running faster and being agile, I think plugging into this system is a no-brainer. So, I've been telling people, just come and spend 2 days with us. You can come
Yeah.
to the Greatness Factory. You can bring your leadership team. You can bring your top people.
Yeah.
Come and be open, because we're going to be breaking this system down in a 2-day setting. If they couldn't come to Nashville, we are doing it virtually. right? If they do want to see it virtually, if you're out there and you're in any of these verticals or financial services or insurance or any of those things, and you're looking to build, grow, scale, and exit, then I would say 26th, 27th, make a trip to Nashville, spend 2 days with us. We'll take meetings with you while you're here, answer questions, whiteboard it, small group it, whatever you need. And I think after those 2 days, you're gonna be convinced that this is a ticket to the big table, right?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Absolutely.
I think we covered a lot of things. This is a lot of fun, man. It's exciting. What we're doing is
Exciting.
exciting, and every day I wake up and, like I said, we're building momentum, and let's finish with this one thing. If you're out there, you don't want that accidental arrogance of success because you could stay stuck for years, guys. And if you're making $1 million a year or whatever, $500,000 a year or $2 million a year, there is a bigger table for you to sit at. Okay. And you don't have to hit your head against the ceiling over and over and over. You should just go, man, I'm hungry. I'm humble. I'm teachable. I hate incremental growth. I despise incremental growth. But let's go back to this one question. It is possible. It is possible and feasible to have an exit that big, though. Because somebody asked me today, is it really feasible to have an exit at 500 million to $1 billion? And I go, I think so. Now, just finish with that. How is that possible?
Well, let me break that down easier
Yeah.
for you, right? So if let me ask it in a different way. Is it feasible for you to go from 10 million in EBITDA to 20 million in EBITDA?
Yes.
The answer is yes, right? Is it
Yes.
feasible for me to go to 20 million to 40 million?
Yes.
Well, the multiples double and they
Yeah.
get bigger the bigger you are.
Right.
You guys follow that?
Yeah.
So very simple. I wouldn't even think about it. How do I go from 500 million to, it's very simple, right? How do you go from 20 to 30 million?
Yeah.
Right. And remember, we do almost double that. This year we'll do double those numbers. And we've
Right.
been in business 9 years. I'm also, just so everybody knows on this call, I'm humbled in the fact that I'm trying to figure out with the Greatness Lab, because, you know, arguably I'm very successful.
Yep.
We did a great job, but I was at AmeriLife the other day with Scott Perry at their conference, and they did 400 million in EBITDA. And I'm thinking to myself, these guys aren't smarter than me,
Right.
right?
Right. Yep.
At 400 million, they've got what is it, $8 billion company.
Right.
And I'm going, holy shit, that's a bigger table. So now I'm thinking to myself, how do I go from 50 million to 400 million?
Right.
And how do we
Right.
go from, to an $8 billion company?
Right.
Right. So that's a seat at the big table. You
Yeah.
do, and the way they did it is roll-ups,
Yes.
right? That's how they did it. They went and did M&A. I think they don't even do it that good.
Right.
So if I look at it, they only do it, their model is a certain model and a certain type of business and a certain margin. And everything that they don't want is left for scraps for everybody else to go get. Well, if
Yeah.
we go scrap all that up and we take strategic partnerships and we give them the infrastructure to double their business, which I
Yes.
which I know we have, when
Yeah.
we know we can scale that, right?
Yeah.
All of their scraps they're gonna be licking their chops to buy it in the future.
Yes. Yes. Well, I wanted to use today to really show people what the real power and potential of this thing is. And so if you're out there and you're interested, you go to greatnesslab.com. You can book a call, which is what we're doing a lot of, just doing introductory calls, breaking down the concept, looking at your business, showing how you can do this. You can come to the event. And if you're interested in coming to the event, and you're watching this, just message us and we can get you some tickets or get your team tickets because we really want to get this thing out in the marketplace. So, Jason, another good session, man.
Great session.
Looking
Thanks.
different, running faster, and being agile. Zebras
Let's
and cheetahs.
go. I love it.
All right, man. Thank you.